All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Homebodies Vlogcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Ren.
And this is the Homebodies Podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my part.
I don't know.
You already said that, though.
So what?
Where home's where it happens. So, make yourself at home.
I was going to say that.
Well, you took twice to say something, so I figured I should say something, too.
Okay.
This topic that we're going to share is more so, I guess, you're going to be hearing a lot more from me.
Maybe not. I'm sure I got some input.
That's true, but I think it's a good conversation, so.
Yes. So thanks for watching our previous episode. If you did check out episode 3 where we talked about names, much appreciated. We're actually going to kind of continue in that same vein with just talking about just some of the things, I guess, that we kind of had to unlearn when it came to starting our family. You know what I mean? Just how we went about bringing children into the world. We didn't really go the traditional, typical route in terms of having kids. Like, most times when a woman pregnant, I'm assuming everybody typically think, oh, well, you got to get you an OBGYN and you got to go to a hospital and get your checkups and do this and that. But we kind of went a different approach, with having some of our kids. So
we can't really give credit to ourselves and say we came up with the idea of it. But before I even get into that, I just want to be clear. So when we found out that we were pregnant, basically, in a nutshell, all of our children, well, dang, I don't even know how to say it. So to be clear, all of our children were born naturally. And when I say naturally, I mean, when I was giving birth, labor, that whole 9 yards, I did not take any medication. So no Pitocin, no epidural, none of those things that they usually give you at the hospital. No, that's funny. Yeah, there was a time where I was lacking in the water department. But, we eventually want to get to a point where we can share our different birth stories because each child had a very different, I guess, different, but had similar experience that we definitely would like in a future video to share in more detail. But this video is more so talking about what we learned from that experience, looking back on what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like traveling back in time, back to when I was pregnant.
Travel. So let's talk about it. So why did we choose to have our first child at a birthing center versus a hospital?
Because my doula told me to.
Thank you, Janae.
She's going to be like, I didn't tell you. I just presented the idea to you.
I think we watched a documentary. You saw a documentary.
That probably was it, too.
About, like, hospital experiences with births and...
No, you're right. We did watch a documentary as well. But I still have to give credit to my friend, Janae, because
For sure.
she definitely brought a lot of information and made it personal for me in terms of what to expect. Like, what is this whole natural birth? It's not that I never heard of anything like that. Like, it was so foreign. Like, when you look at scripture, this is how the women gave birth back then. Like, there was no, well, we just going to use this technology and monitor you. Like, that wasn't there. So it was, some people would say they had it the worst. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand what they're saying. Whereas like they only had one alternative: give birth naturally, and you either live or you die. That was it. So, where was I going with that?
I was asking, why did we go the route that we went? I know you mentioned Janae was a huge influence on the decision that we made.
Yeah.
And
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
that friend that she's talking about, she is a doula. So,
and I think this might have been like, this might have been her early years of being a doula. Like, you know, by the time I had my fourth child, she had a lot of women that she had worked with under her belt. But I think when I had my first, I think it was fewer people that she had already worked with previously before me. But either way, it wasn't like I didn't trust her. And I think that's what made it easier, is because I had a relationship with her, that she was a friend. So there was that trust there that's like, yo, if I'm like over wheezing or something like that, something dire happening, you're just not going to watch this happening. Like, listen, it's hard when you're in a vulnerable state or a situation like that, and you don't know if you could trust a person. Like, it's a total stranger. And no, I'm not knocking the hospital, but there are just some things for me that didn't sit right with me. Like the idea of some stranger, never mind. It's just already hard enough being somewhere, and as a woman, a stranger having to go all up in your inward parts. And I get they just doing a job, but it's still invasive. It's just like, yo, get out of there. What are you doing? Like, and I know that's something that midwives do too. It's not like this is a slight against hospitals and doctors and things like that, and people that are like further from like the natural or holistic approach. But it was just like, it wasn't just, you know, the people. Sometimes it was, not sometimes, it was also like the environment. It was like anxiety based, walking in there, and you know, you like, this is the space where people be dying, people be sick, and people like, you just be on edge. Like, and this is where I'm supposed to like birth my baby. Like, I don't know about that. Like, it's almost like going to a haunted house. But
a haunted house.
I'm sorry, but remember, this is my story and my opinion with this. So don't hear me saying like I'm trying to project that image on for you. But for me,
wait, so is that how you really felt? Like
it was like a haunted house? Yeah, because it was just,
I'm saying, like, giving birth in a hospital or going to a hospital to deal with all of your, you know, labor, you know, baby stuff. You really felt that way about going to the
yeah, it
hospital?
freaks me out. It you gotta understand, when I was a kid, I used to, maybe some of our listeners know this. It was a not movie. It was a TV show. I don't know what channel it came on, but
Tales from the Crypt.
no.
I'm about to say, what you trying to say? Hospitals is like Tales from the Crypt.
No. It was a show, very interesting show. I swore I was gonna be a doctor after this, but it was called Baby Story. Cute little show. Yeah, she did.
She used to watch
Cute little show about them kind of giving you a intimate view of what it looks like to go through the process of having a baby, the labor, and what happens in the hospital, and just they would film some of these women in these different processes of their, like, in stages of their labor. So I'm like, dope. And then they would tell you, like, background story. They would tell you if the woman had complications or what was going on with her family dynamic. Maybe she had more children, prior to this birth that's being filmed, or maybe this is her first baby. And so I was interested at that time into that kind of thing. I thought I was going to do something more with children, maybe be like a pediatrician or something like that. But yeah, I just, when I like looked at that kind of like scared me, because a lot of the episodes were about like C-sections. And I was like, oh snap. And when I saw like them like cutting open, and I think in some scenes, it was either that or I might have just Googled it or researched it, of what it looks like when they like cut you open. And then people were talking about like, yeah, they take the organs out and they lay them on the, not the organs, but they take out certain parts and lay them on the table and then put them back. And I was just grossed out by the whole thing. Like,
well, to me, I forgot where exactly I heard it from, but it sounded like there was more of a push for most hospitals to try to get women to have a C-section, because they get, more money for having to do a C-section, because you need
I think
anesthesia,
the anesthesiologist gets the big whammy. Wait, can I say that? It gets the money.
It seems as if women of color, they tend to push for more of the C-sections for them.
And there's a lack of empathy and really care for the colored folk, the colored women, versus the care and how a woman has to advocate for herself versus like a woman that is not of color.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was this, I don't know, like when you entered into an arena of a hospital, it was almost like they were more in control. It's almost like they had more control or more say over how things went. And I think even though I'm not the one giving birth, me just being the onlooker, it's like, I would be uptight, or I feel a way if you want something, but you can't have it because they're telling you got to do it like this, you got to do it like that. I would be a little upset with that. So I think the idea of me personally having to like learn this new way, well, new to us, but old to ancient times.
It's not.
If anything, the hospital way is really the new way of giving birth.
And that's the funny thing. It's like the new, just what you said, like it's not old. Like, even though for me it's just like, huh? People do that? It's like, what do you think they was doing before all this like hospital buildings and technology happened? Like,
right everywhere they was at.
They was just like, well, we just gonna keep the baby in because we don't know what to do. Like, listen, the Hebrew women, they was delivering fast. At least that's what the midwife said.
They couldn't even get over there. They pushing out the babies fast before they even get over there.
Right.
That's why I'm saying, you might be one of them. I mean, we can get into it later, but our last kid, it was just her in the bathtub, and it was
don't tell them the story. Right. Preview, sneak peek.
Spoiler alert. Like, no.
I mean, it's a spoiler alert for the person that's watching. That might be like know us or seen our like.
Well, yeah, they gonna know.
Well, no, that video's not up. Anyway, sorry, but getting back to what you were saying before, you said the whole thing about
the C-section thing, or just unlearning or having more control.
Yeah, let's go back to the control, because I resonate with that part. Is that I felt like being at the hospital, I wasn't going to have a lot of control. And I was told, you're going to have to fight, because at a certain point, they, like you said, are more, and when I say they, I'm talking about like doctors and the people that are in the hospital field, would strongly encourage more to get an epidural. And I know that it's common, But I didn't want that. I didn't want the chemicals. When I
And
started.
why not? Don't you want to avoid the pain? Don't you want to not have to worry about all of the discomfort?
No, and here's the thing. No, I didn't want pain. I wasn't saying, yeah, give me the pain. Like, yeah, I was really concerned about, yo, how's this thing gonna play out? Like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be strong enough to withstand this pain that no woman can describe to me. That it exceeds period cramps, which were bad too.
That's just kind of like practice for y'all, huh?
What?
Like having a period.
That's a good point. I'm gonna have to take a note of that.
It's kind of like preparation.
It is, but not, because it's not the same. It's definitely on another level. But it's like, I never really thought about it that way. Is that cramps could be like a little
like a
preparation.
Slow entry for you to get ready for eventually the full pain that comes with labor.
But even that's the thing, because the culture, and when I say culture, I don't mean like black culture, but just like the community, or what was common.
I hate that word is associated.
The culture, I know.
It's like culture. It ain't just it ain't.
It's not.
That could be. There's so many cultures.
But what I was trying to get to was that what was common around me was that, yo, when you had cramps, you was, popping the Advil, that Aleve, that Motrin, that was a favorite, to not have to deal with the pain.
That Percocet.
But it's like, you say that and it's like, I thought before we even put the cameras on, like, having a moment of thinking about, why would a loving God, because I believe him to be a loving God. That's what his word says that he is love. Not that he's just a loving God, but that he is love. And so it's interesting to me, because I'm like, okay, if he is love, he loves us, which means he loves male and female, which he created. That means he created this ability for us to have a period every month. And then also in preparation for childbearing. But it's like, okay, outside of that, why would you make labor painful? Now, I know we're going to go all the way back to Genesis and talk about, well, it's Eve's fault. And I think the way it's phrased is not to say that she wouldn't have had pain in her delivery and labor. It's that it would be worse.
It would be intensified.
Yes. And that's very important, because to say, oh, we weren't supposed to have pain is just like, no, not necessarily. And when we look at the whole entire Bible, we see a lot of moments where people of God have experienced pain of some sort and are not out here just walking, like living a painless life. Like, whether that's pain physically, and not, a lot of times it was combinations, mentally, physically, like. And so when we come to this topic of like labor, it's like, okay, why would you make this painful? And it's like, I've learned more recently that pain is a great teacher. I think about Paul and him asking for this thorn to be removed, and the Lord saying, my grace is sufficient. Like, it almost sounds like, well, dang, Lord, that was harsh. But it's just like, no, he's trying to teach him something.
Finish that. What you were saying.
Oh.
He said, my grace is sufficient. My power is made perfect in weakness.
Right. And that's thank you for that. Because in the rest of that verse, he kind of lays it out just very clear. Like, this is what pain does. What does James say? Piggybacks on the same idea, is that we should count it all joy. Now, joy doesn't always look like, but joy meaning like.
How does joy look again?
Take it out.
Very nice.
But, And I'm not trying to give you a blueprint of what joy actually looks like, but I don't think it's the exact same of what we attribute happiness to. Like, we just gonna be walking around with these smiles on our faces, even though we're experiencing discomfort, grief, or whatever. Oh, excuse me. And so getting back to the labor, I feel like this is so, I don't want to say interesting, but I can't find another word for it. What's interesting about the labor piece is that the pain teaches us biblical principles. And one of the things that before going through labor for the first time, what even encouraged me to move in the direction of a natural birth was this. And babe, can you pull up the passage? Is it First John or is it just John?
It's John 16. And this is verse...
You can start from 19, I think it was.
Verse 19.
To 21.
All right. It says, Jesus knew that they wanted to question him, and he said to them, "Are you deliberating together about this? That I said, a little while you are not going to see me, and again a little while, and you will see me? Truly, truly, I say to you that you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will grieve, but your grief will be turned into joy. Joy comes in the morning." Whenever a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come. But when she gives birth to the child, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy that a child has been born into the world brings.
That right there was like, it can't get no like more clear for me than that picture. Like, of all the examples that Jesus could have used to identify with his death and upcoming death and resurrection, to encourage his brethren, his friends, to like, yo, you will experience pain, because he didn't say pain, but he said grief, and we, that is associated with pain. And then the good news is that, yo, it's not gonna last. It's not gonna last. There's gonna be a time that you go through this, and then it's gonna end. But then you're gonna have this grief be replaced with joy. In the same way for a mom giving birth to her child. And so for me, that was what I needed on a spiritual level to encourage me, like, yo, okay, we can go down this route. We can try this alternative, because clearly this ain't nothing new. It's not old. And then on top of that, when the idea of me giving birth mimicking Jesus' death and resurrection, like, it's almost like, oh, I'm honored that, like, that kind of story and narrative, like, reflects his, like, the Lord, I can't even get it out, reflects the Son of God that way. Like, and that's dope to me. And it's like, yo, what, like, I can't even be mad. And so even though it's like, yes, it's painful, and I don't like the pain, because I feel like I have to be clear on that, because it's like, I will advocate to other people now for natural birth and be like, yo, this thing is the bomb. But it's just like, yeah, the pain. Like, yeah, I'll acknowledge that. It is painful and it hurt. You can ask my mom, because she was there and she ain't want to be. I think I scarred her. But sorry, mommy. But at the same time, pain is beautiful, not because of what you're necessarily going through, even though that has purpose, but it's what comes out of it. It's like You're being put through fire only to be refined and come out stronger. Like, one of the things that I realized is after having my child was just like, I did it. I did that.
And guess what? All that pain is a thing in the past.
And then listen, y'all, clearly it registered because I did it 3 more times after that one. Knowing intentionally, I'm going to get to a point where this pain is going to be really like, I can't even speak. And it's bad. It hurts. It's painful. I don't know how to describe it to another woman. I don't know how I'm going to describe it to my daughters. But at the same time, it's just like, man, sometimes I'll put it on myself. Sometimes I could hinder my learning experience because I'm so wrapped up in trying to eliminate pain from the equation.
Listen, if I may, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Before I adjust the cameras. I had a herniated disc, as you know, in my back. And when I had a personal trainer, when I kind of got back into working out again, there was like certain movements were so uncomfortable. I'm talking about trying to tie my shoe or sitting like the way I'm sitting now in the chair, bending in certain positions. So because of the discomfort and because of the sciatic nerve that was shooting pain down my leg, it would cause me to not move in certain directions on purpose because I didn't want to experience the pain that came with moving a certain way. But with the personal trainer, he was like, he would have me do certain motions to help try to relay the pathway to the area that I was trying to avoid moving, because that connection was almost like severed because I wasn't using that neurological.
You were trying to avoid.
I was trying to avoid the pain, so that pathway was kind of getting cut off, but it wasn't helping me. But because I wanted to be comfortable and I didn't want to deal with the pain, I wasn't able to progress with my health. But the more I started pressing into the pain, the more I started stretching and moving it, the less the pain started to hurt. It eventually, I forget sometimes that I even had a herniated disc because I don't feel nothing. I could bend any old kind of way. I tie my shoe, your shoe, everybody's shoe. And I don't feel...
Everybody's shoe.
Everybody's shoe get tied. Now, who need a shoe tie? I shine your shoes. But it's like, all praise to the Most High. But it's like this idea of, pain is to be avoided versus pain is to be
pressed into,
confronted, withstood, endured, because it's going to show your endurance and your strength, and then it's a delayed gratification on the back end. But when you just try to avoid it because it's uncomfortable, you're not really benefiting you in the long run.
Yeah, it's like you're hindering your own growth.
Literally. I think, having to unlearn, that pain equals bad. Or, it's like, nah, that's not true. Pain can be a good teacher if you allow it to be. And I think there's a passage in Hebrews 5, chapter 5, verse 8. I'll just read. It says, this is talking about the Messiah, the Mashiach, Jesus. It says, although he was a son, it says, he learned obedience from the things which he suffered. Having been perfected, he became a source of eternal salvation for all those who obey him. But the point of that is, it's like, okay, he had to learn obedience through the different sufferings and the pains and the things, the grief, the trying times that he went through. So I think that's a good example as we look at his life. It's like, all throughout his life, he had to deal with pain and difficulty and people, incorrectly labeling him or misunderstanding him or heckling him, slandering him, not believing him, mistreating him, abusing him. I mean, you name it. Like, the list goes on and on and on. But he didn't run from the discomfort of those situations I mean, there was times where, shoot, they was seeking to stone him or kill him, and he slipped up out of there, and he got up out of there untouched, unscathed, you know. But
Said, this not my hour. I'm out.
fact, time ain't yet. Slow down. But the point is, it's like, yo, there can be lessons through these sufferings and difficult times. So in your childbearing, or in the pain that comes with, you know, birthing a child, it's like, you know, like you were saying, instead of trying to just numb that or mask it or run from it, it's like, yo, let me embrace it, knowing what's on the other end of that. Like, this ain't going to be forever. You know what I mean? And obviously, I can't relate to the pain. I mean,
no, you can't.
Listen.
Not in that way.
I've been constipated.
No,
so I
the
know,
same way.
you know, it's
same.
kind of like giving birth a little bit.
No, you ain't never pooped no poop.
I felt like
I'm sorry, none of my children are pooped, but you never pooped.
Yo, I done felt like I had a 7-pound, 8-ounce poop before.
Babe.
Okay.
Oh, baby.
It felt like a poop baby. But yeah, enough about poop.
I'm gonna let you hear that
my
one.
hands. I don't know why.
You do.
You know.
Why you keep doing that?
It works.
It's like you're trying to showcase something.
Exactly. But I feel like it draws attention when you do that. Whatever you about to say.
No, it just make you.
Whatever you about to say, it looked like you about to say something important. Whenever you go like
Stop.
this.
Okay, you did it like 5 times.
All right. I'm just saying. But what were you about to say? All right, now go ahead though, for real. But no, I just wanted to read that though, because to me it was relevant to what we were saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll give the floor back to you.
So if I'm looking over, it's because I had, you know, questions for you, but
questions.
I think to kind of summarize, yes, questions. To kind of summarize the whole pain aspect is, like you said, it's just accepting it. It's a fact. It's going to be pain. And even if Eve hadn't ate the fruit, Adam and Eve hadn't eaten the fruit, it still would have been pain. It just wouldn't have been as painful. So I believed that I needed to accept the reality and not do the easy thing, but do the hard thing and try. Because this is my first go round. So I was like, let me try. Let me see the whole and experience the whole like thing, like this whole journey. And then if at the end of it, I'm like, yo, that was too much. I'm never doing that again. All right, bet. You don't have to, because there's another alternative. But after that, I didn't look back, because there was a joy that was untouchable after all that I had went through. Like,
you talk about a peaceful, like,
we got to take a nap at the birth center.
This was the first child. It was at a birthing center. So, I mean, we ain't going into all the details with the whole story about how we got there and all of that, because that is a story. Yeah. But that first birth, like, solidified, like, yo. I mean, I'm talking about the same day she gave birth.
We was home.
Back in the crib.
That's right.
We done took a nap in the birth
People
center.
Was shocked, like, you home? What's happening?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was all in the bed with the newborn, knocked out. Like, she let us chill. I don't know if did she have lunch for us?
No, she let us chill.
I might have been dreaming then.
She let us chill. No, we had packed snacks.
Did we?
We packed snacks. She let us chill in the bed, and it was like the first thing that we got to do as a family of 3 at the time was we got to take a nap. Like, how many people can say that?
It was a very good nap.
It was, and we was, and it just made so much sense. He was up. You were up the whole night dealing with me and all the labor stages. I'm laboring, like, and then the baby is just in this
babying,
right? And it's just like all 3 of us now get to enter into rest, and how that still correlates with the Word of God in this idea. Look at the creation that the Most High brought to this world. And then last day, yo, we gonna rest.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what do we get to do?
All of the work.
All of that. Laboring. Isn't that funny how it says labor, and then labor can be referred to as like hard, strenuous work, but also labor is,
associated with birth.
Yeah, but they're both strenuous work.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's just like, wow, like he allowed us to rest. And I think in biblical times, it would have been that the woman had a certain amount of days that she was unclean, and that's a whole nother topic. But she had that time away, after giving birth, depending on, what gender. But it's just like that time to kind of decompress is just like a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like holding your newborn after all you went through is a gift. Like the laboring is a gift, because it's almost teaching you that in this pain, hopefully you're going to appreciate all the work you did for this human being that's been brought forth, that's been cultivated and carried and growing within you. And now you get to see, hopefully, Lord willing, because it's not always the end result, see that human that has been developing within you. And it is a beautiful thing. And it's like, yo, if I'm not saying I'm trying to get pregnant, but if I was to get pregnant again, it would be a beautiful thing. And I would look and see like, dang, I'm gonna have to go through that pain again. I don't really want to go through it. But know that I can just almost not skip over it, but just enjoy the ride, because like, yo, I'm more excited about meeting this new person that's going to be a part of our family than I am with the pain, because I know it is not going to last. And I hope that can encourage somebody out there that might be pregnant or might be trying to think about this whole natural birth route. Like, it can be done. It can be done.
The funny thing is,
it's just scary when you start talking about it. People be all freaked out. Like how I said I was freaked out with the hospital thing is how people approach natural birth. It's like, oh, it's so risky. And it's like, it's risky either way. It's risky either way. Is what risk are you willing to take? What risk do you want to take? Some people are like, I'd rather do without pain, but it's like, I can't even tell you the connections to the gospel that it has in experiencing the pain. And then I can't even tell you all the things that I have learned in that experience that is different with the hospital experience. By the way, I did have one, so I was able to compare and contrast with the experiences, just to let you know. Because I think sometimes,
what they say, night and day.
Right. Sometimes when giving an opinion, people will feel like, well, you don't know the other side. And it's just like, well, the other side in dealing with the hospital, I had a birth that I didn't really want. The birthing experience that I didn't really want, but it still worked out in terms of no medication and all that. So, but that's another story for another day.
Baby, everything was good. But that experience though, after coming off that first one,
it was different.
Night
and I was
day.
like, I'll never go back.
I said, baby,
but
night and day.
I really wanted to. I'm glad you're here, because I really wanted to kind of enter into your headspace with the whole laboring and all that and natural birth. It's like, when was the moment that you were like convinced, like, yo, this is it for this? This is the route we should go? Or were you always like, I don't know, I'm just winging it? Like,
when did I know that going a natural birth route was the way to go?
Yeah.
After we did the first one, I was convinced. It was like, oh yeah, it's the move.
So what was going on in your head while this was happening? You're witnessing, you're participating, you're a part of this like experience for the first time. And through us watching the documentary and,
Mm-hmm.
hearing from our friend about, natural birth, like, what were you thinking? Like, what is this mess? Like what were your initial thoughts?
Oh no, I think I was already kind of being prepared for something like this because I'm not the type of person already to be, in and out of the doctor's office, in and out of hospitals, in and out of the dentist. Like that's not how I move anyway. But even prior to having kids, so and then my mom is that way for the most part in terms of her being more looking for a natural alternative kind of route in terms of trying to resolve some kind of health issue in some kind of way. So I had that grooming,
Oh
I guess,
yeah, that's right.
personally. Even though, I mean, she's still like encouraged, like, yo, go get your checkup, go to the dentist, do this and that. But I think off rip, I was already kind of like I don't really need to do this kind of thing. So I don't think there was a huge hurdle for me to jump over when the option was on the table for us to go a natural route in terms of having our kids or having our
I'm
first
smiling
child.
because I know what my next question is going to be. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, so it wasn't really a hurdle. I think it was easy to kind of accept that idea and be like, and then thinking about it, it's like, yo, hospitals weren't always around and people was having birth since the beginning of time. So it's like, why would I think that if you didn't go that route to have a child or to give birth, that it was going to be like impossible or that something traumatic was going to happen? And it's like, nah. So, I think it was easy for me to accept that idea.
I can see that.
But yeah.
So that what you said kind of makes me think, did you think I could do it?
Did I think you could do what? Like give birth naturally without any kind of...
Yeah, before it actually happened, did you think that I was going to follow through and that I could actually do it?
Yes. I mean, I think I didn't really know what any of this was going to be like until the first time came around. Like, I didn't know what you could or couldn't handle, I think.
Right. But based on what you already knew as my husband, were you like, she probably gonna punk out eventually, or
punk out as in what? Like
not
change your mind and want to...
I shouldn't say it like that.
Hold on. Like change your mind and want to be like, yo, let's go to the hospital?
Yes. Like,
did I think you were going to want to do that?
Change my mind, yeah.
Not necessarily, no. I think once you learned more information and you had the support of like, Janae, that was the doula in your corner and all of that. No, I didn't think you was going to change your mind or switch it up at the last minute and be like, no, let's just go to the hospital, or no, give me, like, I didn't think so. Now, granted, in terms of you wanting to have some kind of like pain reliever in the middle of birth, that I think that you might have changed your mind on something like that. I mean, maybe, but I didn't know what that pain would feel like or be like. So I didn't know, especially after having Sabe. I thought maybe now because you were in the hospital, that the pain might have driven you to be like, yo, give me something to kind of relieve this or numb this, But after the second one, after you having Sabe, it was like, oh, yo, who is this person? Like, because I watched it happen, and I watched you just deal with it and breathe and trying to control your breathing. Like when you was having the first one, Judah, our firstborn, she in the tub in the water, all crouched down, knees on the ground, and she, ooh, and then the midwife is like, control your breathing, slow breath. She's like, ooh. It's like, how in the world are you gonna try to tell me to breathe a certain way, and I got a whole person coming out of my
She was
area.
doing her job. She was doing a good job.
No, I understand, but when I seen how you was even trying to adjust in that, even in your pain and discomfort, it's like, yo. But I think the beautiful thing is, and you kind of see this in the movie Incredibles, is like, I believe y'all were made for that. Like, y'all were fashioned to be able to stretch beyond what may seem to be.
He's calling me Elastigirl.
Yeah, and it's like y'all were able to stretch beyond what may seem to be normal and snap back. Like, like that elasticity that you guys have physically. It's like, y'all were literally made to do this. So it's kind of cool to see it in action. And I think me personally, my respect level just went up a couple notches. Like, so for anybody who be thinking that, oh, women weak or they can't handle it, man, look, watch a woman give birth, yo. That'll change it. That'll change your respect level.
I say watch your woman give birth, because I feel like just watching any woman give birth, it could have it could have a similar effect, but I think it is heightened when it's your spouse, your partner, and you are
for sure.
In relationship with that person. It's like it's personal now. Like, were you ever scared?
Scared of what?
Anything. Like during this whole process of being pregnant, having a child, knowing that there's a plethora amount of things that could happen within.
You saying with like any of the children's births, or
just
you talking
the
about
first,
just
the first? Because I feel
around?
like the first go round, it's unknown. A lot of unknowns.
So the first go round, by the way, we got about like 9.
Okay, that was my last question.
So the first go round, I would say emotions started to get heightened when you were obviously in pain. Well, obviously rushing to get you to the birthing center. That was definitely,
it was further,
yeah, that was a little intimidating because, like you said, it was about almost an hour away from our house, and we had to go pick up the doula friend before we even got to the birthing center. Just the fear that the midwife wouldn't answer the phone, or she might have been asleep or something crazy. Like, now, but I wasn't like afraid, but those were just hopes that, I hope everything just goes according to plan kind of thing. So just seeing you in pain, and it's like, I can't really do much. I felt, I don't want to say useless, but it was kind of like, as men, we like, yo, what's the problem? We just want to fix it. Like, how can we fix this problem? But with this, it ain't so simple to where I could just fix it. It's like, this kind of got to happen. She kind of got to go through the course of the pain.
Watch.
I do. And it was humbling because it was like, as handy or as equipped as I feel like I might be as a man to help you in some kind of way as my wife, as I try to lead you in this moment, it's like I'm being led. Like, you telling me what you need me to do, you grunting and what you need me to rub. So I rub that, then you'll stop me. Okay. I don't know.
Why you made me sound like a monster?
Because for that time, I mean, that's what it was. But I understood why he was a monster. You was giving birth to a monster. So, But no. So I don't know. I was just trying to be funny. I would say, yeah. So it wasn't scary, but that was like humbling, I guess. Where it was like, I want to help you, but I don't really know exactly how and where. But I would say the scariest part of it all, especially with the first birth, was when, because we were doing a water birth, half of her body was submerged underwater. So when, my oldest came out, he came out underwater, still attached to the umbilical cord.
Floating.
And still underwater though. And the midwife is just holding him under the water. So I'm looking like, you ain't gonna get him out of there before he drown? Like, what you doing? So then when she took him out and he didn't immediately cry or make a noise or move, obviously my mind is like, yo, like, please, Lord, like, don't let it be.
Yeah.
But once, I don't know if she did something to his mouth or did something to him.
She did. She used one of those like little syringe things and just
she did something
in the mouth. And
but
then
he started crying. I was just like, oh. It was just a relief of like, thank you, Lord. Like, everything was good. I cried, obviously, because it was like, hey,
my son.
The emotion, yeah. But I would say that was probably the scariest part of it all. I mean, but it makes sense because that's the climax of all of the pain and the laboring.
Why you have to say climax like that?
Because it is.
Climax.
It's the climax. You want me to do it like this? It's the climax. Okay.
You look like somebody. You look like Tony Baker.
Tony Baker.
I don't know why it's the hands.
He is animated with his hands.
Oh man, you should put like a picture. Like some, I feel like he had it.
I never knew.
I thought you was gonna say the other one.
What?
He's like, oh, dad,
That's your thing. But no, that it makes sense why everything kind of came to a head at that one point. Because it was like that was probably the height of your pain, the height of your screaming, right when he came out. So it was like all of that just culminated into just like a sigh of relief of like, like it's over, it's done. He's here, we good, she's good. Right. You know, she ain't died, and it's like even after, it's like you were still feeling pain. And they had to get the placenta out of you. I'm like, wait, there's more? Like, it's another one? Like, I thought it was done. But, I mean, it was just cool to watch the whole process. So,
it's the afterbirth.
I wouldn't say I was scared, but I think there were moments to where it was just like, okay, I really hope everything goes like it's supposed to. There ain't no hiccups. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think the last question I actually do have will tie into wrapping up, which was, do you feel like there's anything else that through this experience you unlearned? We kind of talked about unlearning already, mainly from my perspective, but was there anything for you that wasn't touched on that you unlearned from watching me labor, watching the whole pregnancy and being a part of it? Because I don't want to say watching as if you were just on the sidelines doing nothing, but being a contributor, but not experiencing the pain. But I guess maybe it was pain for you in a different way. I don't know.
I mean, obviously seeing you uncomfortable and, you know, not at ease in different ways. I mean, yeah, that makes me uncomfortable knowing that you're not uncomfortable. But I know I'm not feeling half the stuff that you're feeling, you know, so I understand that distinction. But I would say, what are some things that I may have learned in addition to some of the things that I picked up on? I mean, I would say it was just confirmation. Like, it solidified the idea that like, it proved the thoughts and the feelings of, yo, we don't have to go this direction in order to achieve this goal. There is another way that low key or high key might actually be better than the way that is the normal way in our society, in our day and age of doing the thing. I think it solidified that confidence that, yeah, you know, or I guess I could say I just learned that, yo, the Most High really equipped like us to have what we need and, you know, to achieve this goal of being fruitful or multiplying in that kind of literal way. It's like, yo, he gave us what we need already. Like, I'm talking about the supply to nourish the baby. You off rip. Your things start the developing. They start the ducking. You know what I'm saying? The ducks get the ducking, and you already ready to do what you got to do. And it's like, wow, I'm learning how he designed this process of just birthing this cycle of like, yo, I give to you, you hold on to it, you cultivate that thing, you nourish that thing, and then you give birth to that thing through this pain. And then now we raise and train this thing up. Like, it's like, yo, you know what I learned? You are a human portal. Humans go into you one way and they come out of you a whole nother kind of way. Humans go into you one way and they come out of you a whole nother kind of way.
What humans is going in me?
Sperm.
Oh.
They going up inside you. They getting their eggs. They develop, they cultivate, they take their time, and then they come out a whole nother kind of way. And it's like, yo, all that is happening with this vessel. And the fact that he chose to use a woman to allow that possibility to happen, because think about it. What Ja Rule say? Where would I be without you? Meaning, like, how would I achieve to turn these seeds that I have into...
Stop pointing at it.
How would I be to turn these seeds that
Did you do the thing?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like without you or without women, men don't have the ability to produce really anything in terms of more life, in terms of human life. So that's what I learned, you know. So I think there was a lot of things that we unlearned. I think there's a lot of things that we learned. And I think, you know, it's just one of them things where it's like you kind of got to assess.
For yourself.
Yeah. You know, not saying that if you went hospital route or whatever, because like she said, our second child was born in a hospital. So we did have that experience as well. But I think having the experience of going outside of the hospital, going outside of the box, going outside of the matrix, it's kind of like it opened our eyes up to see like, oh, wow. Okay. So we don't have to necessarily do it like this in order to achieve this goal.
And I want to say real quick, it was so freeing. It was very freeing to be able to, through the pain, move the way I wanted to move, not be bound to a bed, not be stuck just waiting whenever everything kicks up.
You have more control over how you...
freedom. I had freedom. If I wanted to squat and have my baby, I could squat and have my baby. And the beautiful thing about it was being able to be in tune with my body, that I could listen when my body said, you know what, it's time. I didn't have to listen to somebody else tell me it was time.
And all of the beeps and the noises and people coming in and out. And
the monitors. Those monitors. Oh my goodness. They're going, it's like...
You had the IV in your arm. You got the lady tripped over the thing and it yanked at you.
That's why I said it's like a haunted house. Like everything is just like have you on edge. So this is Homebodies, where
home is where it happens.
And thank you for listening to our vlogcast.
Yeah.
And please tune in for other episodes. And what else do we want to say?
Engage with us, share it, whatever you want to do. But hopefully this information was edifying in some kind of way.
Enlightening, encouraging.
Challenging.
And it's something that you can pass on to others.
Thought-provoking.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Your ear.
All right, now get to stepping.
Get the stepping. You ain't got to go home. Or
I'm not saying that.
You probably should go home. Yeah, go home. Go be with your family or wherever.
No, go home. Because it's where it happens.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah, home. Go home, Roger. What to say?
You ain't no twin.
Oh, wish it was.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yes, see ya. Bye. We're closing the door.